booster ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LATB, LATB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back. Episode 110. Getting down. What a fun night of fights we had. Little bit of everything. LATB on point. I think there was a few calls that we ended up going exactly right with. Some of them not so much, but let's get down with the shakedown.
Well, first things first. I have to apologize to you because you would have totally beaten CM Punk in the first round.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was disgraceful what we saw in there.
The first round wasn't disgraceful. The first round was actually super entertaining.
Tentative, yeah.
We were both kind of out of our seats. We were both excited, and we couldn't believe how excited we were once it was there.
Agree. Well, for the first 2 minutes, and then I was like, "Oh shit, this is a garbage fight."
Very quickly.
Which is said, as you were saying, super surprised at how pumped up I was as it was going on, and then again, 2 minutes in, it was.
And something else we talked about in the night, and I know we're going to get there, but this is kind of a little off topic of the main card, because it took a lot of heat for putting CM Punk Mike Jackson as the opener for that, but then we talked about how brilliant on the UFC's part it was for promotional reasons, that they had a lot of WWE fans there. Hear me out, haters. They have, let's say, a few 100,000 new WWE fans. You have CM Punk fight first. They stay on. You put this Ronda Rousey intro to the Hall of Fame, which is a totally WWE star. So a lot of them that didn't know her in that way get to see why she's so great to us. Then you put a heavyweights right after it, which everybody loves to see two heavyweights, and it was actually a banger. And then you put Holly Holm, the only, not the only by this point, but the first woman to put the chink in Ronda's armor. And so hard.
Big induction, Hall of Fame, Ronda Rousey, starting off the pay-per-view with a very joyous celebration of her entire career. There was people crying in the room. It got so emotional.
And our favorite part. So, I would say more of the women in the room. Some of the guys are hating on it. We noticed on Twitter as well. Yep. Anytime there's a slow part, here comes Ronda.
I loved it.
And then the UFC did such a good job with it. Silent as a church mouse. No one was saying shit. Everyone was remembering, oh yeah,
I just had a bug in my eye.
Real things. These are. And so a lot more of the women got touched in the room than the men. And all the men were feeling hard like, oh, I made it through that. I didn't cry. And then they showed BJ Penn and Matt Hughes.
Yeah, exactly. My heart can't take it anymore. I just had a bug in my eye. That was it.
So it's like, if you thought you could make it through the Ronda Hall of Fame induction, you can't make it through this. I don't know. I thought the UFC did. You were hating on 225.
Yes.
So what would be your evaluation of what came off of it after?
The entire night, it was more entertaining. There was a few fights that really were entertaining, but the mix-up that has happened since then, Chaos himself is creating all sorts of living drama. But I think before we get there, we should break it down from the bottom to the top. But overall, rating-wise, I'm going to say that was a A-.
I mean, you have to save the A pluses for
226.
The ones that. Well, after I was re-looking at 226, I'm like, there's the Stipe DC,
and yep,
and there's Dillashaw Cody, which I'm not really excited about. Okay. I'm as excited about Dillashaw Cody as I was about Whitaker Yoel Romero too. So it's like, I could give or take it, but it's here in front of me.
Totally.
But the rest of the card is,
I thought I saw a bunch of good fights, but that's another week and a couple weeks away. We do finally have a break, and this is confirmed for a week.
I enjoyed 225.
I enjoyed 2. A- is a really good score. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I know, but tons of finishes, and I think it lived up to my expectations of it. I wasn't hating on it.
I would say it surpassed my expectations because I would have thought it was going to be a high B. So we got into the A category. Starting off the night, we had Danny Ige against Mike Santiago. We both had Santiago on this, and he was blown out of the water. First punch put him to the ground, and then Ige just pretty much landed ground and pound until the ref stopped it early on in the first round. 3-0 for Santiago. Gotta go, homie. Unfortunately for you, you gotta get back to the regional scenes. Ige, put on a good performance. Can't put too much stock into this because it was a quick blowout.
I agree with you. Anyone that's going to jump on the Ige hype train after this, I'm like, we didn't know enough about Santiago to do that. And we were totally wrong here. Ige showed out.
Showed out. Then we had another quick submission with Charles Oliveira versus Clay the Carpenter Guida. Oliveira actually looked for one of the first times. His head was under him. He could have wilted a few times and just kept a good mindset and took over.
I'll tell you something that I want to say about this fight that is just a little naivete on my part, but I know we didn't talk about it at all. And I think it's changing my opinion because we are Charles Oliveira haters.
Yep.
I wish I would have really paid attention to it in this fight, and I didn't for some reason, and you guys know how bad I am with weight classes. I don't like Charles Oliveira at 145. I might be impressed with him at 155. I wish we would have talked about, like, hey, Charles Oliveira's won since he moved up. Maybe he was having these hard weight cuts, which we talk about over and over again in the rest of the night. We didn't really mention the change of weight classes for him, and I didn't mention it because I don't really think I knew it. Like, Clay Guida, like, their categories blend together with the caliber of guys they see. They weren't that top, echelon. So I didn't know enough, and if I would have known, I don't know if it would have made the difference. So I'm not using it as an excuse. But I am more interested in Charles Oliveira because he says he stayed at 155.
I would agree with that. I'm more interested in him as well. He's still somebody, though, that against a hard-nosed, tough guy who can withstand submission attempts a la Paul Felder, it might be a different story in there. Where do we go with Clay Guida at this point? He's not a complete fade because it wasn't a dominant... I mean, he submitted him, but Guida didn't look completely like a fish out of water, striking or on the ground.
Clay is...
36 years old.
He has still a couple more fights. I mean, he's... look at Lyoto Machida right now. Clay Guida, I thought he was a guy that was over however long ago. I'm just kind of... I don't want to tell a guy when he should be done unless he's showing signs of really traumatic brain injury.
For Clay, I would feed him some of these brand new prospects. He's a perfect gatekeeper that's like, hey, you want to be in the UFC,
Clay
you got to
kind of like
beat him.
An Andre Arlovsky type where it's like, you got to get through this type of guy.
Exactly. And now you're credible to even be in the UFC. Clay Guida is kind of in that position.
So on like the never-ending story where Atreus like running through and there's like
in the mud?
There's like
with the horse?
2 sphinxes on both sides and 2 food dogs on both sides and he has to go through the levels and like one shoot lasers at him and whatever. So I feel like, you know how we say the word gatekeeper and everybody uses this term for gatekeeper? Yeah, but I think there needs to be 3 terms for that gatekeeper and Clay Guida is that first level. The first level that the little 2 gnomes drop you off at in the basket. He's the first level. He's not one of the last level gatekeepers.
That's exactly what I think. Like, debuters should be getting Clay Guida.
So I feel like we need 3 terms. Like, there's the gatekeeper, the lawn man, and the, butler that's going to open the door.
The LATB rungs of the UFC.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
But I'm interested in Charles now, and I used to be a hater. I like 155, and that's my excuse.
That's the biggest thing. All right, well, it's going to be some fun fights, definitely at 155. Tons of talent in the division. Moving on to the 125-pound division, we had Joseph Benavidez losing a split decision to the hometown favorite, Baby Pettis himself. Actually, I could have seen this fight being a draw, honestly. I think the first round was a 10-8 due to that knockdown for Pettis in the first minute of the fight, and Joey Benavidez adjusted and won, for me, rounds number 2 and 3, making that a draw. This went 29-28, split decision for Pettis. I like them both. This was a humongous step for Baby Pettis. Humongous. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. He grew in this fight, and you can see it immediately. They both adjusted well. Fun scrap. Really like what I saw with Baby Pettis in this fight.
I think you were right and wrong. I think you were wrong because I watched it non-biased. I had Joey Benavidez in it, and I was super impressed with how much growth Baby Pettis had, and I'm ready to watch him go forward. He's kind of in my opinion, in this division, kind of the Dustin Diamond Poirier of this division, where I can see him like really impressing people and paying his dues through every fighter, not taking a big leap because he's talking shit, not, cutting corners.
Yep.
He really is gonna maybe be the best in the division because he fought every guy. So I really liked Baby Pettis, and he had to go through Joey Benavidez to do it. The thing you were right about, Joey Benavidez' hair was awful.
Thank you. You should have got that cut or something, right?
I even had blonde bias watching it. Like, it's not,
It was
like, it kind of
pumpkin head.
looks like my hair. No,
that's a pumpkin head.
yeah, it was like,
It was
and it was
trash.
faded weird in the opposite direction, where it looked like it was darker, where it should have been lighter.
Megan O'Leary, we know you're getting paid, girl. We know Fox is paying you. You gotta fucking help him out, girl. You gotta be like, hey, just go down the street and just get it touched up real quick.
I think he should have dyed his hair and then went and got the fade.
Oh,
That's what he did wrong. That's what
exactly,
I do.
Yeah,
Like,
that's exactly what I would have done as well.
But not right now. You can't, because when I first reach it, it's hard to get the.
This is your post 225 haircut right now. As
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah.
So, where do we go with Benavidez? If we were talking about gatekeepers in our last conversation, this is one of the top 5 gatekeepers. If you get through Joey B, you're in that top 3, top 5 in the division.
Thing with Joey B right now, in my opinion, still, he isn't even of those 3. If you get past those 3 gatekeepers, then you might get blessed enough to still meet Joey Benavidez. I still think he's in that top, like, chance of the division, that top. I just think Baby Pettis is up there too now.
Yeah.
I think it's a deadlock of this Cejudo, Benavidez, Pettis, and all those fights would kind of look the same. And if they fought 10 times, they would be 50%. It would just be weird fights every time.
Totally.
And then you got Demetrius Johnson. It's like it's hungry, all this hungry hippos, and then Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Mighty Johnson.
Mighty Mouse. Yeah, it is Mighty now, right?
Yeah.
So, anywhere left to go with either of those guys, going to be putting on money on Pettis, but these are the highest level of fights. Now, I did, though, like Baby Pettis is filling out really, really well. He looked substantially bigger than Joey B.
I was kind of impressed with his ground game. I thought Joey Benavidez, when he got him down, it was going to be lock, stock, done, and that's how the rest of the fight was going to go. And Joey B Baby Pettis got back up.
And Baby Pettis specifically had gone to local high school wrestling team and has been there for the last few months. And he specifically told the announcers, look at my takedown defense. Look at how much better. And they're like, we said it, and it's true. His takedown defense was on point, and that's going to get him much, much further now that he can use his hands more freely and put power into those punches.
And I think let's say if you're a guy coming in the UFC, and let's say you're a boxer, let's say shittily enough, we did just watch CM Punk, so I'm just going to say this. Let's say you were Floyd Mayweather, and you're coming in, you already got boxing on lock. You got fast, you got the muscle, everything's going on good. The 2 things I'm going to teach you, if I have this much time to get you ready, watching Baby Pettis fight and watching things that went on tonight, the 2 things I'm going to teach you is takedown defense, because our goal is to not go there. Our goal is to not go there. Takedown defense thing. But the only other thing I'm going to teach you is fighting off your fucking back. Whether you're Megan Anderson, whether we just saw it so many times where it's just like, if you're Tony Ferguson on your back, it's the Eddie Bravo rule. Like, if you make somebody question bringing you to your back, where do they bring you? It's the new conundrum question of UFC. I think it's the fighting off your back is going to change the game.
There's many. I think you can look specifically.
Those are the 2 things that I think are swimming through that are going to bring, I don't know. I thought it was an exciting night of fights.
It was an
I'm
exciting
high off
night
of
of
it
fights.
still.
So, a quick one that we had later on was Anthony Smith finishing Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans, what else do we got to say? We said it beforehand. All sorts of shot. Doesn't have a chin. Doesn't have the movement.
I changed, by the way, everybody.
Away from Rashad Evans.
Yeah,
That's a good
I shouldn't even
call.
have said anything about him. I shouldn't even have. That should have been the lock of the night.
Anthony Smith,
And I think we need to start having a lock. Like, that's a lot. Well, we do, and we agree. That should have been one. I'm sorry.
Yep.
The second I watched weigh-ins, and then I didn't even need to watch so much Rashad Evans fights. I just started to see the size of Anthony Smith, and he is crisp.
Oh, yeah. He is
huge
hard.
Guy.
Huge, big guy.
I like him. He's one to watch.
What I got to be a little hesitant on is...
It was Rashad Evans?
That's exactly it. Like, if it was Rashad Evans a few years ago, even then it'd be a little skeptical. But at this point in his career, there's a lot of people that are going to be able to do that to him.
What weight class is this?
That was at 205 pounds, I believe. Exactly.
205.
Time to move away. And Dana White already said he talked to Rashad. They went in the back and Dana was
Do you
already
give him
told
Alvy
him.
next?
For Anthony Smith?
Yes.
Who was calling out Alvy? Was it Anthony Smith?
I don't know, maybe.
I believe it was. You're right on that. Yep. Because he said, "Oh, you got a bunch of call outs. I got a call out for you." And Sam Alvey, and Alvey was in the crowd.
That's perfect.
That is
I
perfect.
Like that.
That's a scary ass fight for Sam Alvey.
Yeah, it is.
That's a scary ass fight. But Anthony Smith has been hurt multiple times in his fights. Sam Alvey hurts people.
If one day when we have a whole studio with buttons, that'll be Sam Alvey. Anytime we talk about him, it will.
On to one of the bigger underdogs of the night. We had one of the biggest Mexicans with the biggest heads against Rashad Coulter in one of the best commentating sections of UFC history. After the first round, which was a barn burner. One of the rounds of the year, honestly.
Okay. And before we even start breaking down the fight, we were so wrong about this.
So wrong. That was all me. I had Coulter on 70% of my cards, and he shit the bed with 15 points on DraftKings.
Ooh.
Woo! It was that gas tank. How many people can eat those shots, though? Because Coulter was putting everything into those punches. He was... If any of those would have landed more so, because he landed how many punches?
But De La Rocha, you said, was he is the worst guy on the card.
I thought he was pretty bad.
He looked good.
He did look good. His punches actually looked much straighter. He looked in more shape, and his takedowns were actually on way more point than they were in his two previous fights.
Everybody was surprised, though.
Everybody. It wasn't just us.
No. Every single person. No, I don't think anyone. I think he might have been the biggest underdog closing.
One of the biggest underdogs, for sure. Definitely got to fade Rashad Coulter as far as out of the UFC.
Yeah,
Time to go. I think De La Rocha, if he gets hit that hard by maybe somebody else, I guess with more power, because Coulter, that's how he made it here, was knocking people out. And De La Rocha,
he had a good chin.
All of those shots. In the corner, so you can see all sorts of clips of it already. Rashad Coulter's corner saying, "Hey, this is a big old Mexican with a big old head. Stop trying to knock him out." And Coulter did not oblige. He went in there and kept trying to finish the fight early into the second round. Fully gassed. It was a sympathy stoppage TKO. The ref was just kind of like, okay, you've been in mount for 3 minutes, De La Rocha, in the second round. It's over. No real punches were getting through, which again proved that De La Rocha, for as good as he looked, also had no gas tank. So it was two of the lowest caliber fighters in there. Really tentative on De La Rocha's next fight. We're not going to see Coulter again.
Yeah, I think we might see Coulter again just because the heavyweight division is so sorely lacking.
So lacking. Hey, Overeem, you're going to need a win. Throw him in there against Coulter. You got it.
Ooh.
You got it. Just saying. Anything left with either of those guys, though?
No, I can't believe we talked about him as long as we did. My bad.
So we had Bektik versus Lamas. This ended up being a decision. 30-27. Lamas just losing a step at 36 years old. Bektik
This is kind of
looking
how
all
I
sorts
saw
of good.
this go.
I think most of us did.
I was kind of surprised at how good
Lamas
Lamas'
looked.
chin was.
I agree. I actually thought he did better than I thought. I thought it was going to be even more decisive, if not a finish potentially, against Lamas. Bektik looking like he's getting everything together. Looking better after that loss. Like we've said before, he's talked about it. He realized, I need to get my cardio underground. Moving, he's getting better.
You know what else I think is funny? We were talking about them, their looks and stuff. We were being all...
Yeah, who's a sexier man?
The opposite of chauvinistic is. Uh-huh. And so were so many other people. Like, I saw it across Twitter that it was like a thing of like, look at what a handsome man. Like, yeah, it was like all these like 3 women fighters in dresses and then a picture of Bektik.
Latby's on the pulse, just throwing it out there. Latby's on the
kind
pulse.
Of funny.
That janitor mustache, it was Mirsad Bektik could go into your house and renovate it and then kill you in the living room with a rear naked choke. Like, that guy with that mustache coming back. Seeing a lot of fighters
he
wearing
might change out your garbage disposal and then kick in your shin.
He might blow out your pipes and then knock you on the head. So
He might put together your bed and then rear naked choke.
and put you to bed in a rear naked. So where do we go with Lamas? He's a gatekeeper. If we're saying Clay Guida is, that's what Lamas is. But I think Lamas is in that top 10 gatekeeper kind of status.
He's the last gate. He's the last gate.
Yeah, it's where you start to make that big money. Lamas, though, super tentative. He can beat a lot of other young guys that don't know how to get into those third rounds. But right now, if they feed him, again, top 10 guys, I think he's losing most of those bouts. On to a dirty-ass split. Called this, I gotta say, 100%.
100%. Dead on.
Said Carlos Esparza has more of a shot than people think. Gadelha should not be a -4 or 600. Way too much. It should be
the only
at
thing
most
you
2 to
didn't
1.
call, if you listen back to the show, you actually called it closer than any other analyst I heard.
Thank you very much.
The only thing you didn't call that I don't think anyone would have seen is that right hand, though,
that
from Esparza. Who would have thought?
I was going to say that stanky leg to Gadelha. It was a good stanky leg.
Yeah, but no one saw that Esparza had
Nobody.
that kind of power to rock Gadelha. No one, especially me. I was
And
like...
it happened twice? It happened twice in that fight?
That was such a great fight, and
that was a fun one.
am never been on the Esparza bandwagon. Oh, watch out, girl. She's dangerous.
She's definitely getting more and more confident in her striking there. Felice Herron's got to be helping her out in there. The power's starting to show for Esparza, or is it Gadelha's chin starting to go a little bit? She's been in brutal ass fights.
I think it was the precision. If you
Yeah,
look back
it was
at
a
that
straight
fight,
punch.
dead on.
Carlos
Dead
Esparza
on.
looked good. So, controversial fight. As fun as it was, this was one of the highlights for sure. This was in the top contender for fight of the night.
No one lost. No one lost.
I agree. They both move forward. With this fight, though, it was the number 2 and 4, wasn't it? Or 2 and 3 in the division?
Maybe.
So it was a high-level fight. We had Carlos Esparza winning that fight. Even though I had Gadelha, Carlos Esparza won 2 of those rounds, especially with that knockdown.
We really try to hold each other accountable to be non-biased when we're watching these fights. And we pick it round by round aloud so we can remind each other. Because sometimes you forget by round 3 when one's starting to impress you. You forget you gave the other 2 to the other girl.
She got wobbled twice in the first 8 seconds.
So we did have Esparza winning that round.
2 of those rounds for me.
It was winning that fight. I'm sorry.
Winning that fight. But
2 rounds to 1.
Dirty ass split Gadelha. The decision prop bet was definitely where you made your money there. Again, both of them go forward. I think, neither of them lose.
I loved it. I was impressed by the performance.
So impressed.
And one of the things that I liked about it, I feel like we're going in the wrong order on this. No.
Nope, it's right.
This is right.
This is right.
This is right.
It was wrong up when we talked about it initially on tap. These fights were switched.
Yeah.
So there was also a bunch of pre-wired prior weigh-in stuff that we'll eventually get into only with one of the fighters, but head games playing a role into it. Carlos Esparza's face, she looks like she ate too many cookies right before every single one of her fights, but dang, what a great showing. What a great showing. On to Blades versus Overeem. This was a bloodbath. Second round TKO, the main event of the preliminaries, and what a good reason that they moved this to, even though Dana White says he regrets putting that other fight on the pay-per-view already. This one, 100% right. The best showcase you could have had. Blades came in, got rocked by a few knees in that first round. Hard. Blades stiffened up a few times, but that chin came through. Did Blades get hit with an uppercut and you saw him grimace and then drive through for a double leg takedown at the end of the first round?
There was some good punches landed by Overeem.
And knees.
Dana, it's easy to say in hindsight because you make money on both ends by doing what he did and switching these fights. Because This was a perfect closeout for all the casual fans that were watching the fights to build up to CM Punk, and a perfect fight for the diehards, something they deserve for a free fight. If they're going to pay to go into this pay-per-view and have CM Punk as the opener, you deserve to get to watch this fight for free.
This would hype me to buy that pay-per-view. I'd be like, damn, we're going.
Overeem, this is the first time I've ever gone with him in my whole UFC career. And I think Overeem is over. I don't think he needs to
I feel like you usually say Overeem overrated.
I always did, and I have been using that with Curtis Blades, and I think Curtis Blades is calling for his title shot. I'm not impressed with Curtis Blades because I've thought Overeem was so over for so long. I let myself be brainwashed by it. So beating Overeem is not that. It's not the Overeem of yesteryear.
2 of the hardest hitters in the UFC. 3 he's faced. Ngannou cut stoppage. Mark Hunt he beat after eating shots. Overeem after eating shots. I think Blades is showing that his chin can hold him in there, and now that gas tank is a next level.
This is what I want to see. Ngannou Blades 2.
I love that.
That's perfect what I'm interested in. Because for both fighters, I need to see Ngannou go against a grappler, and I need to see Curtis
Blades has evolved a lot. Has evolved a lot since then. That's a great call. Though this was finished by blood loss, we saw one of the gnarliest cuts opened up via elbows, ground and pound by Blades, definitely living up to his nickname, the Razor, splitting a 3-inch gap. I was about to say,
vagina.
We saw a sex change happen in the ring. First time ever in the UFC.
It's not the first time ever.
It's not the first time. And we've seen a couple. But now, big ol' hole in the middle of his head. And you can see it squirt. The second elbow lands. And it's just, ref comes in there and Overeem is just pouring blood. It was brutal. Absolutely loved it.
It was some Charles Manson shit. Like, it was some...
Manson didn't do shit. He gets such a bad rap. That was some Ed Gein shit right there.
What was his cult called?
Dahmer?
Yeah, the Charles Manson.
What was it? The Light Bringers of the... No, not the... We called them the Manson family.
Yeah,
but they
the
were
Manson family.
They were called something else. Like the something of light, worshippers of light.
I don't know, but I just am like, didn't they cut all the people up and put paint on the wall?
Yeah, helter skelter and all that.
So I just picture like the amount of blood that came off, like spliak.
It was brutal. Anything left with either of these guys?
Nope. That's the fight I want to see. I want to see Overeem take a huge ass break. Big old break. Big, huge break, Overeem. I want to see you do some personal appearances. You can sit down for a while. But the hard part, we did talk about it with Overeem too. Overeem's probably one of the highest paid guys in the UFC. It's probably a little hard for him to sit down. A little hard for him. A little harder than most.
Totally.
But, so Overeem takes some time off. Blades versus Ngannou too. That's perfect.
That is perfect. On to the pay-per-view, we had the worst showing since some of the early UFCs. UFC 1 or 2, we saw these type of amateur level fighters in there. One so much more so than the other one that the other 0-1 fighters styled on him. Mike Jackson winning a decided decision, breaking CM Punk's nose in the first round. Again, as we said before, Dana White has already regretted putting this fight together. Could I say, we told you so?
He regrets it, but because the pay-per-views have already been bought.
Exactly.
Just saying. He doubled his pay-per-view numbers by switching those fights.
Dana White himself has said multiple times, this was, even though as much he didn't like it, the second highest selling venue other than a basketball, or the most highest selling venue other than basketball at that arena. Pay-per-views, I'm sure they did absolutely fine. Before this, we did get into that Ronda Rousey moniker, but our little tribute. Either way, I don't want to see...
The Ronda Rousey tribute was right after this.
Right before... Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't want to see Jackson fight. Who did he just call out? He called out some trash can as well that he's going to get murdered by, but I don't want to see either fighter.
Dana doesn't want to either. He's a dipshit.
He's a dipshit for being in there, and it's true. Dana called it 100%. If you're going to be showboating on top, let him up and finish the fight, douchebag.
This is what I have to say. Jackson wasn't good enough to finish the fight.
Totally.
He wasn't good enough.
Totally.
So Dana hating on him because he was doing boa punches from the top because that's all he had no power to punch down. His arms were fucking jelly. And so he was trying to showboat to make something exciting out of it because he didn't have the skill set to finish Punk. So I don't know who had a better showing in there. The everyman who's been training for X amount of years to get in there and he actually did go 3 rounds, or the guy who says he actually does this and couldn't finish the fight. So I don't know. I think it was, for all the new casual fans, the the performances afterward were
man.
It was so much night and day. And somebody wrote to us on Reddit, and I thought it was odd. At first I didn't like it. They were like, they should have put Nick Newell in there with them. And I was like, Nick Newell would have murdered him. It wouldn't have been
both of them.
fair.
2-on-1.
And
He murders both of them.
what are you talking about? And he was like, I know, that's my point, is to show that a UFC trained fighter can do it with one arm. And
That's a great call.
kudos. That is really
that is
a great call. And something else I have to be said, just for us and our naysaying, because we're conspiracy theorists about everything. I'm so glad this wasn't a make, and I'm so glad our sport is real.
True, that is a great point. It is nice that, hey, Dana White didn't pay Mike Jackson to take his dive, which we all thought. I thought 100% that's the best way to do it. And Jackson went in there and just showed that he is better than CM Punk, but I don't know what that really means for you as a person.
And CM Punk did some good. He got some good teep kicks in. He landed a few punches.
Slowest 39-year-old I've seen in years.
He wasted a lot of energy doing a really spinning kick and then coming around slower than anyone I've ever seen. I think I could do it faster right now.
His nose, though, did get busted right up in there. I did like to see the toughness in there, but 100%, this was a JV fight. I've coached wrestling. In high-level high school matches, you can see the high level, and you can see why JV's JV, because they just don't have the tools in their bags to go deeper. And that's why you see these stupid bolo punches and just, not stupid, but just, again, the lack of tools. We don't need to talk about this anymore. These guys, we're never going to see them again, hopefully. I sure do hope so. Even though I loved Lesbo's conspiracy here, we see Mike Jackson in the WWE. Now he's the perfect heel, being, oh, guess what, Vince? I knocked out the guy you hated. Yeah. It's such a good call for Mike Jackson. If you listen, and we get 10% here at LATB for starting that WWE career for you.
And even his tagline, if you prayed for me to lose, it's because your God ain't real.
And then yeah, right. But didn't he say something to some other religious figure that he believed in, Allah or something?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
And real quick, if there was a UFC fighter that was white and had a white power tattoo on his chest, would he be allowed in the UFC?
Hell to the no. But he would be allowed to date a UFC fighter.
Oh, or marry them. Boom. Got him. It's all right. On to definitely
we didn't even
much
set that
better
up ahead of time.
We had Tai Tuivasa winning a 3-round decision against Andre Arlovski.
That was some Golden State shit. That was like, you just alley-ooped it up, and then I just slammed it in.
Got him. So, Tai winning a decided 3-round decision. Arlovski, again, a gatekeeper. We saw it all night long. If you get through Arlovski, it proves that you deserve to be in the UFC. Really good showing for Tai. As far as conditioning, we haven't really seen it before. He wasn't able to get Arlovski out of there. I think it's more a testament to Arlovski's game plan. He's really started to get it away from that brawling and more technique and win those later rounds. Tai got busted up early on in that fight. He's going to have much tougher fights than people think. I think the hype is, again, a little bit high, and now that he's really facing UFC caliber and Arlovski type people, I'm going to step it on back. And I don't know if it's the shoes or the head trauma, but he was asking for everybody. He asked Joe Rogan, Ariel Helwani, Kanye Gadelia.
In my opinion, Joe Rogan should have given him his shoe.
100%. I gotta wear this all day, buddy.
You
got flips in the back.
We were talking about it. If we went to the fight, we'd have our shoes, and they would be like sneakers of ours that we'd be willing to give away. Or after the shoe, we'd have a permanent marker so we could get him to sign it and keep it or whatever. And we'd have flip flops in our bag. Little pair of flip sandals in our bag. That would be no problem.
Easy.
How can you go to a Tai Tuivasa fight and not have sandals in your bag?
Now, Tai, as I'm saying, he had like 3 shoes before he got to the back.
Fresh socks, some chocolates.
Sorry, I got too ahead of myself with this chewy talk. I gotta say, shout out real quick to Tai's one of the best walkout songs of all goddamn time.
It was pretty good.
Take me away, make me free from you. Well, I don't remember the line. Oh, take me, Jack. Take me, Celine Dion.
And I know that my heart will go
Crowd was loving it. It was so unique. Absolutely loved it.
Fall wherever you are. That's done by Cher.
So, definitely best walkouts. That was definitely one of the highlights of the entire night, other than the shoes.
I actually brought a shoe so I could do a shoe right now for our YouTube audience. Do you think that would get us? I don't want a cold.
I don't want to walk around. I got to walk around all night in this thing.
I would do it with Tai Tuivasa. It's the same thing.
100%.
It's how I feel about bungee jumping. I'll do bungee jumping if I'm in New Zealand at the highest bungee jump or the first bungee jump. I'm not bungee jumping at the county fair.
Totally.
That's how I feel about a shooey. I ain't doing a shooey on a random Sunday morning.
So if you offer somebody a shooey, should you know what you're getting into? And by that, I mean, as Ty was walking out of the ring, winning the decision, he drank a shoey immediately. Then a couple steps later, another guy had an Adidas or something, filled it up, and Ty gave it to him 2 or 3 times. And Ty even said, and he spit in the shoe, and he told the fans to spit in it, and nobody spit in it, and he drank it. So what I think is, if I would have known, if he goes, here's, I would have been like, okay, sorry, it's gross, but you want it. I'm going to do what you want.
That is, in my opinion, testament to how many casual fans that are new fans to the UFC. After that,
right?
Like, they were like, I didn't know what he meant.
Yeah,
like, now
and he showed him, he spit in it.
I have to talk about the fight real quick.
Yes, please.
So Andre, he's not a walkthrough anymore. He's done something to his game. He has, to me, the second crispest boxing in the heavyweight division, right behind Stipe. Everything's looking good to him, even his chin. He took some shots. He took some shots to the sternum. He took some shots to the face, and he kept going. I just really like where Andre Arlovski's at right now. I think Verdum's a perfect fight for him. Tai Tuivasa, it seems like a lot of hype on him, but I'm still on the hype, and I think the best thing that could have happened for him is going 3 rounds. It shows to everybody that he's one to watch, and he's the youngest guy right now in the whole division. So the amount of growth he can do, and the amount of this is a perfect guy for him. It's almost like Andre Arlovski is to Tai Tuivasa what I feel like Holly Holmes is to Megan Anderson. The best teacher you could have had inside the octagon to go forward. What we need to see from Ty, all the holes in his game, was Andre Arlovski. So he knows everything he needs to work on now. So I love it, and I don't disagree with the judges. Ty won the fight. It was close AF, and I really enjoyed it. And I want to see Andre Verdum. I think that's a good fight to have next.
Wow.
They both need a chill.
I think that's a good call.
And I think they're right about the rankings. I think Verdum came down 1, and I don't think Andre loses a step by a loss.
Did Walt Harris just win his last fight?
Maybe. I forget about the other guy.
I want to say Walt Harris, Tai Tuivasa, both coming off of wins. They're both kind of in the same spot right now. Harris has a little more experience, but I think they're both projected up.
Or do you give them Rocho?
Rocha? No, that's too low level. Or you do because it's going to be... It's a fight he can win all of a sudden. Those takedowns,
that's
though,
a great
for Rocha.
co for a TV card.
Totally. Fox Fight Night. On to, though, Holly Holmes versus Megan Anderson, the debuter. Everybody saw this coming. Holly Holmes.
I didn't.
Really? This was a decision? Did you have Megan?
Oh, I didn't have her. I stayed with Megan.
You did?
Mm-hmm. I thought she was going to win, I feel like, by a 3rd round knockout.
And Holly Holm took over in that fight the whole time. Didn't hear as many kios as usual, but just big discrepancy in talent level. Invicta champion to Holly Holm, who is a perennial top 3 in 2 different weight classes. I mean, come on. You fed her to the wolves. We all saw it coming.
I have to disagree a little bit. I felt like the first 2 minutes of stand-up, Holly was in mortal danger. And the difference between somebody with the amount of experience Holly has compared to Megan, who I also have to say, for all the CM Punk people out there that are fans of CM Punk and are new to the show, Megan Anderson and CM Punk have been training the same amount of time. Just put that in your brain.
Good call.
Just take that info and put it in your brain, and then that's the difference of not only age being a factor and how like a child can pick up Spanish or another language way quicker than an adult, but also natural talent, natural athletic talent being a factor.
Big woman, 6 foot there,
and just
she
her
looked
build.
huge.
The other thing I have to say is, so Megan training for the Holly Holm tapes that she had, she looked really good and her game plan was tight. Holly came out with plan B and plan C and plan D, and we got to see a different Holly Holmes than we ever seen, way more aggression than we've ever seen, using her forward and really smart takedowns. And all of a sudden, somebody who's the tallest fighter you've ever gone against is the same height when you're on the ground. And Holly was just clever with her takedowns, and she shined to me more in this fight than she has, and I don't think Megan's a walkthrough. The hard part, I'm interested in Holly Cyborg. I know people are talking about, oh, sorry, Holly, the fight everyone wants to see is Amanda versus Cyborg.
Right.
No, I'm willing to let go of Amanda Cyborg to see Amanda versus Holly at 135. It's the only fight we haven't seen at 135. Are you kidding? How can we not see this? We couldn't when Holly lost to Shevchenko, but this Holly's a different Holly. I'm impressed. I loved this fight. And I like Megan. I think what Holly did, because she turned into a ground fighter, that is going to make Megan's game better than if she would have been normal stand-up Holly playing kicks on the outside.
I totally agree. I guess I am bashing a little bit more than I should be. I just don't think it was a hard call. I think a lot of us saw it happen. I
just felt like everyone saw Holly picking Megan apart on her feet, and I don't think that's what happened at all. Holly came out with a surprising game plan to everyone.
And Megan did stay alive in there. It wasn't a finish. It went to
and
decision.
A lot of it, if you rewatch that fight, a lot of the hits Megan took from the bottom, if you rewatch it, she didn't. She had really good coverage from the bottom. She really tried with flexibility to pull out a couple crazy submissions. So I was impressed with her first performance, and I think it's a testament to Holly Holmes that, hey, it's fucking Holly Holmes.
Yep. So this is one of those positions, though, that we see a astronomical leap in Megan's next performance, because she's now been in there with a top contender.
Megan?
It's Megan. It's Megan.
Okay.
She says Megan as well. I've heard her say it as well. It's the way they say it in their country, so it's like, okay.
They don't have Megans in Australia?
I think they do, but she pronounces it Megan.
I have Megan friends and Megan friends.
Exactly,
and I actually
right?
have Megan and Meghan that are Megan and Meghan.
Hen, like a hen.
Meghan, like
Wow.
Han, Meghan.
Wow. So, I think that covers this one. We're going to, again, see a big leap in Megan's progression after this, being in such a high-level fight.
But we need some more 145ers.
Yes,
it's
definitely.
a red flag for the UFC.
Definitely.
And somebody was saying, oh, they'll just do a tough house for 145. No more tough houses.
No
more tough houses.
They have contender series that are coming up, starting up Tuesday. We are going to have a break from fights, but it's going to be a fun fight night that we start off this next bout with, even though we got to get into the co-main event, probably the most talked about fight of the entire night, the most publicity over a star-studded night of fights. Colby Covington, been doing a great job, and as much as we talk crap on Colby,
lean American steel and sex appeal,
I love it so much more than I ever did before. I laugh so hard watching all of his lines, all of his quips, all of his trash talk. Enemy, everybody's an enemy. Doesn't matter who you are, Colby Covington hates everyone, but he understands he's getting paid.
If you listen to me, you're one of the few who I called this fight pretty dead on.
Yeah, you totally did.
Everybody, I'm sorry to tell you, Robbie Lawler isn't the Robbie Lawler of yesteryear.
So
he's not that guy anymore. And so Dos Anjos
came out, shot out of a cannon. Remember how you were really adamant about talking about how Dos Anjos is really invested in this emotionally? And
invested.
I think you were 100% right there as well.
He did not play the same smart game plan he did with Robbie Lawler either.
And Colby, being a true 170-pounder, come against a 160 Dos Anjos.
A tweener, we like to call him.
Definitely
Until the weight classes existed, we're going to call them tweeners.
So, we definitely saw the physicality, the size add up a lot on Dos Anjos, but Colby Covington's head movement has gotten so much better. Damian Maia really pieced him up. I think Colby had maybe one black eye, not even scrapes along his face.
Dos Anjos soft-skinned. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Dos Anjos didn't use his leg kicks
at all.
Not that he had the opportunity to, because every time he tried, Colby went in for that takedown or threw him up against the cage.
Beautiful stuff. Ended up using a lot of that cage grappling to really start to wear down on Dos Anjos. And after what? The second round, Dos Anjos was spent, if not end of the first.
In my opinion, this is a testament to high school wrestlers and people that go through the system their whole life. You cannot, and I think it goes back to even the CM Punk fight, you cannot teach cardio in a short amount of time. That is the thing that
Dos Anjos has went 5 rounds multiple times at 155. I can have 6 fights.
No, I'm not talking about, well, Dos Anjos too, but I just think for Colby, the amount of forward pressure that he gives the entire time, that is so wearing. So even if you have great cardio, I'm just saying for a guy that's been wrestling since he was 14, it's not that kind of cardio. You might have B+, A- cardio, but a high school wrestler that's been doing it all the way through, that's 28 years old now in the UFC, it's almost unparalleled.
Yeah.
And so Colby said that, and it's one of the interesting things about him and Woodley is he said, I fought against T. Woods. He was exhausted in 2 rounds.
Yep.
Like, I know he can't handle
They have trained
pressure.
together.
So the fact that Dos Anjos, who I would say has better cardio than Woodley, a guy with good cardio, that's how much better Colby's cardio is. And he was touting off on his cardio like a Diaz brother. That was the only, Joe Rogan kept comparing Diaz brothers to weird things. The only thing I would compare it to is Colby's cardio might be like a Diaz brother, where that forward pressure that you're like, oh, it's like GSP said, it's smothering.
Yep, it is very, very smothering.
Claustrophobic.
I definitely... well, how do you feel like the UFC belt welterweight division being turned back into a great division? We might see the belt in the White House. How do you feel about that? Dana White specifically says...
Okay, everyone. This is not a political stance. I'm a Howard Stern fan, and for Howard Stern, one of the things they yell Baba Booey at things. So if they can get it on a political speech, or it doesn't matter if it's a blue event or a red event. If Sarah Silverman says Baba Booey at a political thing, or if Jimmy Kimmel says it at an Oscar, or if, it's said, it doesn't matter. So in a weird way, the UFC, because I love it so much, to get it on the White House and the Oval Office, to get a UFC belt in there, I don't care who the president is. It's so big for our sport if that happens.
Totally.
It's so big for our sport. And just even as a purist, take the entertainment value for what it is. If you're a purist and you want real amazing fights and you want the UFC to be able to afford to pay these really amazing fighters, we need these fucking ham bones that want to blend the lines between WWE to bring the entertainment value
the exposure.
to it. Yes, and it's so important. The exposure pays these fighters like the Justin Gaethjes and the Dustin Poirier, the people that people won't get how great they are unless they take the time to really watch their body of work. And you're not going to get people to do that unless you have these ham bones bringing them in. It's like you need Britney Spears to eventually find, Tegan and Sarah.
I love it. I love it all. Later on, we are going to be laying praise to Colby Covington as we have to Chael Sonnen and saying, look, Chael did it first. Now Colby's going to be the guy that brings in money, and people in later years are going to say, I hated that guy, but thanks to him, we got a fat sponsor that would have never been here once we get this Reebok deal out of the way.
And all of a sudden, if you're a T. Woods lover, guess what Colby is for him? Guess what? For the first time ever, T. Woods gets to be a good guy. Why are you guys booing me? He gets to be a good guy, and he gets to have a money fight.
Yep.
Brum, 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 brum.
It is. It's the truth.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. And Colby has, again, a good potential shot there. He does have
and the black guy going against the Republic. It's perfect.
It's
even talk
all the way around.
Everything. It's going to bring so
we
many
could break down
fans.
that fight and just the social dynamic of that fight for hours.
So, in my opinion, I hate to say it, but you can follow us at Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and you can see this. But in my opinion, Colby has made the welterweight division great again.
Whoa, we need to get that hat. We need to start making those hats, honestly. Those are so dope. Those would be
hat,
super dope.
simple.
It sucks because people are going to
Make
be like, what?
welterweight great again.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
And we both wear those hats.
Exactly. That would be so dope.
Maybe I'm gonna take a still of this and put those on us.
Oh, that would be great, but we're in Florida. We can make a drive down and hand it to Mr. Colby himself. That would be super dope.
Yeah,
that would be so
perfect
great.
picture. And he'd probably be like, "Get out of here, nerds!"
You virgin nerds, get the hell away from me.
We both had to bring pictures of our girlfriend, or my wife and your girlfriend. Yeah,
No, look, not a virgin. I promise. So, what we've heard with Dana, he can make it happen. We can see that UFC belt in the White House. Dana said, I know him. Donald Trump
he
has
actually spoke at the Republican National Convention.
One of the most outspoken trumpets out there has been Dana White, for sure. So
Dana White's actually the only trumpet to not get pure hate and still have the same career he had
I
afterwards.
totally agree with that 100%.
That's mafia power, baby!
That's money. I want to see it. I'd love to see that belt in the White House. That changes also the exposure of UFC belt in the White House.
That's how I feel.
Think of how many NFL fans are like, what? My football players didn't go, but guess what? How do you feel also with Kobe? As we're talking with the heel, he hates stuffed crust pizza, hates the NBA, hates the Philadelphia Eagles for not being American. Like, how much of a demographic is he pulling in with this heart of America or the heartland? And he's finding out millions more followers in the heartland of America than on the edges. And guess what? They make a lot of money because they're farming and fracking the shit out of the country.
It's all working. It's all working.
Part of the plan. It's all part of the plan.
Well, I just think it's all. If you're trying to be the heel, he's being the best version of that, and so he's doing a good job.
So who's
love
next?
him or hate him, you want to watch him.
Who's next for Dos Anjos? 170.
A beach, a lounge chair, and I don't think he's done. I just think he needs a good break. He's been fighting hard, and he was too emotionally invested in this fight, and that isn't the way a smart Dos Anjos needs to fight. He needs to be a switchblade and piece apart people and just think of rounds and how many points he's going to lay out, not knock out and not get all aggressive and angry in there. He has the entire skill set. Mm-hmm. He just didn't think the game plan through. At 155, his next fight will...
Oh, 170.
Oh, yeah, 170. 170. See, I fucking suck at weight class. 170, Dos Anjos. I would like to see him against Wonder Boy.
Ooh, that's a great call.
That's interesting.
That's a lose-lose, yeah. They're both in their top 5.
Yeah.
That's a great call.
Wonder Boy.
And we know Covington's waiting for that NyQuil fight.
That TyQuil.
TyQuil, baby. Love it. Love it. Can't wait to start breaking those down.
The whole thing set up. And we're going to have an off week, so we might even be able to get all into that more. And I'm sure there'll be more chatter and stuff.
Totally.
And then we get into the main event of the evening.
Also known as Fight of the Night. By the way, the payouts ended up going...
Fight of the year, some people are saying.
It was dramatic. But real quick, Dana White giving Performance of the Night to Charles Oliveira for that submission against Clay Guida. He also ended up giving... Who was the second person who got it?
I thought Bobby Knuckles. ended up walking away with $100,000.
But he walked away with $100,000 because Yoel Romero was ineligible for any bonuses because he was 2.2
But I thought
over.
It was separate. Like, I thought he got Fight of the Night and also Performance of the Night. So he got 50 and 50. So an extra $100K on top of
his already win championship pay-per-view buys and all that good stuff. But
and did Yoel still lose the 20% because he was still in the weight class but he wasn't in the championship weight class?
I didn't hear about that.
I never heard about Yoel
and
losing
usually
20%.
They say he's giving up 20, 30.
I never heard that because he still was in the 185, but he just wasn't in the championship.
Okay, so Fight of the Night was Robert Whittaker, Yoel Romero, Performance of the Night, Oliveira, Blades for that.
Yeah.
Dismantling.
Gnarly.
And per Dana White, Whittaker gets the $100,000, but it's Yoel Romero's $50,000 he gets from that because of the Fight of the Night. They both get $50,000, and he's ineligible for it. So that's over 20%.
I think we CM Punk'd our Leslie Smith underdog, and I feel like there's a bad juju on it since she retired.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't retire.
She did not. She was retired.
She was retired, but I feel like there's a bad juju on it or something.
Does it have to be an active fighter? We never really set parameters on our Lesbo.
No, it just has to be a grind. It could be anyone. It could be the CM Punk underdog pick.
Oh no, it could not. No, it could not. No. But with the main event, Bobby Knuckles first tearing out his knee in their first match. Real quick, the commission didn't allow Yoel Romero to cut the .2 in the last hour because he missed weight with a pound to go for championship 185 pounds. Dana White already saying Yoel Romero's fighting at 205 or not fighting at all. So Yoel's having to move up regardless if he wants to keep fighting. Dana White also super pissed at Kelvin Gastelum, because he said Kelvin should have been the replacement as soon as Yoel didn't make weight, but for personal issues, which means them hoagie sandwiches and that weed is still in the boy's system. Guaranteed. That's what's in Kevin Gastelum's system.
He said he's going to have to talk about it. He called him out a few times. Like, I'm not saying anything. He's going to have to talk about it. So
it's that weed and them hoagies, homie. I know Kelvin. He likes tacos, baby.
I would have been pissed. I'm glad Kelvin wasn't ready, because if they would have swapped that card up at the last minute, it would have been unsatisfying for everyone
agree.
involved.
Give him a full camp for Whitaker.
Yeah, no way. And also, Yoel should have had the time to cut the last two, and I disagree with Dana. I don't think Yoel should move up.
.2.
I don't think Yoel should move up. I think
he had an hour left, and they didn't let him cut .2.
Yeah, they should have let him go.
Management also saying, I was scared in the first fight for Yoel Romero with the weight cut. It was way worse than this one. This one with that last .2 in an hour, he could have finished it. It was a rough cut.
He could have blown his nose.
Yeah. So, first round, fun fight. Yoel Romero ended up winning the explosive knockdowns in the fight, but the overall fight, I would definitely give to Whitaker. And Whitaker blowing out his knee in the first fight. This fight...
So you don't agree with Joe Rogan, no rounds were 10-8 in your opinion?
No rounds were 10-8.
With
two knockdowns. Yes, there was a 10-8 with 2 knockdowns in the round.
In my opinion, the fight should have been a draw, but... You have to beat the champ to be the champ, so Bobby Knuckles would have kept his title. It would have been the exact same as the first Woodley-Steve Thompson
Exactly
fight.
Same, which we said here, a continuation of that T. Wood-Thompson fight is the same thing that's going to happen. And the adjustments did go to Yoel Romero a little bit more. What I've been trying to get at, though, quickly, with that broken knee in the first round, broken thumb in the first round for Bobby Knuckles.
In my opinion, the adjustments went to Bobby Knuckles more going in because he tore apart Whitaker's leg, or Yoel Romero's leg, and we can't tell because Yoel Romero's a tree trunk and his bones could be broken inside of his muscular frame and you wouldn't even know it. And he walked out of down the stairs with no problem, even though he took more brutal leg kicks than I ever seen in a fight.
In that first round, Yoel Romero's eye was swollen so shut. That corner deserves an extra paycheck because that fight was going to be... Was it the second? It was early. It was early. Though I thought it was going to be stopped. His eye was a slit, and then that pressure. They got that pressure, that ice in between rounds, and it actually reduced down a lot. You saw the x-ray. You posted the x-ray of Whitaker's thumb. That happened, I believe, in the first round, right hand. So he pretty much only used that jab and kicks for the rest of the fight.
I almost think he deflected a kick with that thumb.
And that's where it happened. I want to see where it happened.
He's just, Bobby Whitaker's having bad luck, and I know that's disappointing for Dana going forward, but just give the kid some time. In my opinion, it seems like the worst thing. It almost seems like hell to be there. And with Yoel, he's gone, and I like somebody posted, and I think this is a great point for the champion. He's gone 10 rounds with Yoel Romero and hasn't been knocked out.
Great point. How many other people can say that?
10 rounds.
Elite level people.
And I also have to give, in my opinion, all the proof in the world of the water weight difference and going up to more of your natural weight class is Bobby Whitaker's chin and being able to recover after all the knockdowns and how hurt he was. It's proof that...
And this is saying at 170 he was getting finished. He moved up and dramatic change.
And think of this. If that can be said, imagine Yoel Romero at 205. Is he unstoppable? Can you ever knock him out?
We'll see. But Yoel Romero ate some kicks to the head.
And just come forward.
And just walked forward.
Boom.
And it was not even blocked. It was a flat 185-pound championship kick to the head, and that man is made of steel. Luke Rockhold said it himself. Made of steel. They're putting something in that Cuban water, if you know what I mean.
That's what Bobby Whittaker said afterward, that you don't understand. He hits like a truck.
I do understand. We saw Bobby Whittaker holding on for dear life. Great point. I do think there was a 10-8 round in there for Yoel Romero, but even in that draw, tie goes to the winner, and Knuckles held it out. His knuckles didn't hold out long enough, but he did. And a tribute and testament to what a champion Bobby Whittaker is. When his thumb gets better, who's the next bout at 185 pounds for him?
I think you have to give him Weidman, because the two questions are Weidman versus Gastelum, and Weidman's beat Gastelum.
I agree with that. It's Weidman.
But if Bobby Knuckles has to heal, then, in my opinion, Weidman Gastelum have to fight again, and the winner of it. And I know everyone thinks it's weird, but wasn't it close? No, he choked up.
Yeah, he submitted in the second round.
So I think you give him a 5-round fight for the interim belt of the 185, and then they hold title for whoever fights Bobby next. Because Bobby's going to be hurt with recoup time, and usually once a guy's injured, that's when the interim always comes up with the UFC now. So if you're going to make Weidman, Gastelum fight again, put the belt on line, put it at not a pay-per-view, but a main event of like the ESPN card or something.
Totally. Yoel Romero at 205 pounds. Anybody throw him against Sam Alvey, Corey Anderson, freaking Jimmy Manuwa, Jan Blachowicz, all of them.
Yeah, I think Corey Anderson, who just friggin' beat
Anthony Smith.
What about Anthony Smith, Yoel Romero? That's a
barn burner. That could be maybe not a pay-per-view. Yoel brings a lot of buys, but Fight Night for sure. That's a Fox headliner. ESPN, headliner all the way.
Yeah.
Fight Pass. That would be a fun one.
And for Yoel, go up, homie. You have nothing to prove in this division. You don't even need the strap.
He'll be getting paid the same. Yeah. It's all about the money now.
You can probably run through the 205 and get the strap, especially if DC's not sitting up there.
Give him Rashad Evans. No, don't kill Rashad Evans, please. Don't murder Rashad Evans.
I think that's a perfect way to end it. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed 205. Make sure you hit the bell and like and subscribe.
225, episode 110.
Oh, it is episode 110. And, yeah. Thank you. We'll be back Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to LATB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.